In this speed training video, we'll explain how to use the fixed date feature to make your trip planning with RV Trip Wizard even easier. You can see that I've logged in and I've created a simple trip called Chicago to Grand Canyon. My starting point is just in the suburbs of Chicago, and we're going to head to the Grand Canyon. Where the fixed date comes in handy is when we want to be at a location at a specific date and time. So in this case, we're going to have relatives converge from all around the country on the Grand Canyon at a specific time. We're all going to meet at the same RV park. We can't haphazardly just throw a trip together. We need to plug in some dates that are fixed. So we're going to click the more details. Obviously our standard panel here, we've got all kinds of pictures, features, reviews, tips and tricks, weather, etc. We're going to go ahead and add, we want to stay for this reunion for 3 nights, and we're going to lock the date of stay. Now we're leaving on the 1st, but we don't want to be here until Friday the 11th, and then we're all leaving the 14th. So when I add this to my trip now, we can do show entire trip here. We can see I've created my trip, and here on the left, it says, look, you've got 10 nights available that you need to burn from your starting location to your destination. You've got to make up 10 nights. So we're going to go ahead and just create some stops here. We'll use our trip ring. We currently have that set for 5 hours. We're using the classic driving radius. And our average speed here is about 50 miles an hour. We're going to choose that. And that's going to set that ring exactly where I want to be at the end of a driving day, for example. So we can see that this puts us right in and around St. Louis. I'm going to find a campground here. I won't be too picky here in this demonstration. There's Sundermeyer. That sounds fine. We'll click on that. And it's the first day of our trip. We're not really looking to hang out in St. Louis very long, or for that matter, maybe we do. Maybe we want to see the arch. So let's stay 2 nights. That'll give us some time to visit St. Louis. We'll add that to our trip. And now I don't have to think too hard or do a whole bunch of calculations. I can look here right on the left and see, oh, I got 8 nights available. So that's terrific. We'll highlight ourselves on Sundermeyer and zoom out here in St. Louis. And we'll see where the driving ring is. You can see my fuel warning. We'll deal with fuel later in the trip and on another video. So this 5 hours is going to take me just outside of Joplin. And we'll find us a campground. This KOA looks fine. We'll add that. And we'll stay 2 nights at that KOA. We're adding that after Sundermeyer. And we'll add it to our trip. And here again, you can see that I have 6 nights available. Now, in the middle of planning all of this trip, the relatives all call and say, hey, the dates have changed. So, oh goodness, we come over here, we can unlock our stop, our fixed date if we want to, or we can go here and just edit it, and we'll change our dates. Turns out we're not showing up on Friday after all, we're showing up on Saturday, and we're still leaving Monday. So we're getting gypped out of a date, but that's life, so here we go. So we'll save that. And of course, that means I have 7 nights now available to burn. So we'll highlight ourselves here on Joplin. And we'll continue to come out and find our next stop. Again, the trip ring, the distance radius, so what we call that, really helps us determine where I want to be at the end of a driving day. So here I am in Oklahoma City, near Oklahoma City. Now I know there's some new RV parks here I might want to look, and I don't need to drive all the way to my line. This is just an approximation. I think that's the one I'm thinking of that's kind of new and is highly rated. So we're going to go ahead and grab that. Now that I've got an extra day to burn, I'm going to go ahead and stay 3 nights. And we'll add it to our trip. And now I've got 4 nights available to me, and we're getting closer to the Grand Canyon, so this is working out pretty well. We'll center up on Mustang. For some of our other trip videos, how to use the distance ring, how to use the fuel, how to create a simple trip, those are all available on our YouTube channel through the speed training series. And this is really to focus on how this fixed date appears and works. We can go ahead and look at the editing one more time. We don't need to change our dates. I can take that lock off if I want to. I just want to remind everybody where that is. And we'll go ahead and center in on Amarillo. We'll grab 2 nights here at Oasis. We'll add that to our trip. Notice I'm always adding it after the last stop I made. If you forget and you accidentally add that trip to the end, it'll appear below Railside and you'll just have to drag it up. That happens a lot. Don't sweat it. This little waffle looking cribbage dice area here, this gray dotted area, lets you put your mouse on there and move that, shuffle that around. So now I'm at outside Amarillo, and I probably need one more stop. Sorry, I got a little zoom happy there. So I'm going to go ahead and stop outside Albuquerque, and that's going to be about all I need. It says I have 2 nights available, so let's stay at Route 66 for 2 nights. And add that to our trip. Now you can see that I have no more nights available. I'm going to arrive at Railside in Williams for that great family reunion exactly on time. And we'll turn off our campgrounds for a moment, and you can see I've built out my entire trip. So at this point, I would probably call each of those, make reservations. For example, if I called Sundermeyer here, and I got a reservation, they said, here's your conference number, confirmation number, reservation number. I would just plug that in here, 8675309. There's my reservation number. I could just as easily type confirmation number. It's pretty loose as to what it'll accept, and I can save that. And you can see I get a little calendar icon right here next to my nights showing I've entered reservation data. So that's a little handy way to glance at that. I'd plug in all my reservations and make them. If I couldn't get in somewhere, I would find a different park, add it to my trip, make the adjustments, get my reservations. At that point, I can add my fuel stops, rest area stops, grocery stops, any of those types of things I want to add. And that's the fixed date feature of RV Trip Wizard. We could obviously route ourselves back home or continue our journey elsewhere simply by adding more stops that would appear after Railside. We could add additional fixed dates if necessary. It's quite flexible, and it's a much requested feature, so we're glad to bring it. Thanks. We'll see you next time on Speed Training. Look for more of our videos on Facebook and YouTube. Just search for RV Trip Wizard.